Greetings, citizens of the world. We are anonymous. I would like to cover a few topics in this short video. You may or may not know that at this time, the people of Nigeria, this anonymous message is being broadcasted in response to the sharp rise of insecurity in Nigeria, with citizens being...
Stop! Before you continue watching this video, kindly hit the subscribe button. I mean the red box, to bring me one step closer to becoming a popular YouTube channel. Thank you.
Being seized and kidnapped for ransom. Kidnapping for ransom in Nigeria has become big business, and not only for money, but also politically motivated kidnappings. The economics surrounding kidnapping in Nigeria in terms of the US dollar means that at least $18.34 million exchanged hands between victims and kidnappers over the past 10 years, speaks to the rise of unprecedented crime in terms of profitability. Covert armed groups active in the country have increased their use of violent tactics in the form of kidnappings, battles with security forces, car bombings and clashes with one another, demonstrating an increase in sophistication and weaponry. Groups with purely economic motives have tapped into their illegal oil bunkering trade and kidnapping international oil and construction workers for ransom. The response of the government has been an increase in military action that solidifies the commitment of civilians for armed struggle, escalating violence rather than subduing it. Nigeria has lengthy borders, a number of airports and numerous seaports along the southern coast, making smuggling and cross-border trade difficult to detect and monitor. Small arms and light weapons coming into the country, as seen by the presence of US-made and other foreign weapons in circulation, are not well documented, and the source from transit countries are unclear. The inability of police to provide security in the country has led to the acquisition of small arms for protection, with the majority of small arms held illegally, makes it difficult to track flows and possession. As long as economic and political opportunities for gain exist through the use of force, insecurity will persist and the demand for small arms will continue. Democratic government lifted many dictatorial structures that were previously in place under military rule. However, the lack of centralized military control leave politicians at state and local levels with more power to run their territories unaccountably. Competition for resources has made for a highly competitive political arena that encourages the use of violence to win. High threats of kidnapping are throughout every region of Nigeria. Kidnappers are motivated criminally for financial and political gain. As angry citizens protest the endless spree of gruesome murders and kidnappings in the country, the Nigerian Senate has recently passed legislation for life imprisonment in kidnapping and sexual abuse-related crimes. We must not be silent while the harvesting and molestation of humans for profit, sex and enslavement continues unabated. Nigeria has more resources than any other country in Africa. Targeted kidnappings, as with all false flags, are pretexts for war and the securing of resources, and Nigeria is rich in oil. We will not be silenced as groups are pitted against one another in a fight for resources. Armed violence is not random. Acts of armed violence in Nigeria are purposeful in intent and directed at key targets, whether economic or political. Armed violence is more about oil than religion, ethnicity, or politics. Violence is about access to resources, whether through committing crimes, playing on communal tensions, stealing oil, or winning elections. Without addressing the key issues of resource control and distribution, armed violence will continue to persist. Politics in Nigeria is a struggle for control of resources and the decision-making power to determine how these resources are utilized and distributed. Without addressing the fundamental problems of poverty and access to resources in Nigeria, the opening of political space only fuels the struggle for control. Kidnapping for ransom is deplorable. Violence is not a political tool of influence and control. Corruption cannot be fought when governments can be bought. Anonymous calls upon the citizens of Nigeria and of this world to rise up and condemn the generations of selfish legacies, and delete their memories from the sands of time. As citizens of this world, you have the liberty to challenge without consequence. Your immediate response is needed to encourage the freedom movement. Let us flood the internet with public declarations of Nigerian human rights and show a unified resistance to tyranny. And remember, we are anonymous, we are legion. We do not forgive, we do not forget.